If you don't get back into the ring, Junior, then neither will I. But if you get back into the ring, then I'm gonna fight someone in some exhibition match. I'm putting the pressure on you. You wanna see me fight again? Yeah? Okay. Will you take another fight and I'll fight too? Because I'm with you.
Interested in the fight with Eubank? What do you think of him as a fighter?
You know, I'm focused 100% on what I have in front right now in the future, but you know, always sees a possibility there. So we'll see in the future.
What do you think of the fight with him?
Good, very good show, very good performance for both fighters, and I enjoyed the fight. I watched the fight. Yeah.
This feels less like support and more like control. Chris Sr. is turning his son's career into a weird emotional game. Eubank Jr. doesn't need a theatrical ultimatum, he needs space to make his own legacy. He's not living in his father's shadow anymore, he's carving his own path. And frankly, using your son's fight as leverage for your own comeback, that's not mentoring, that's manipulation. Now here's where things really heat up.
I'm back, he'll be a better fighter, you know. We've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his time.
Straight from Peter Fury, the right man won. Chris Jr. didn't just show skill, he showed control and composure. Conor Benn came out blazing, sure, but Eubank weathered the storm and took over. The scorecards may have been wide, but the outcome wasn't in doubt. Eubank Jr. proved he's levels above. No gimmicks, no weight excuses, just pure measured dominance. To add more fuel to the fire,
I think Chris won it, to be honest, with the sheer effort that Conor put in. You know, it should have been like a majority, maybe a couple of rounds. You know what I mean? I didn't have it so wide. But look, the right man won.
Frank Warren said it, and he's spot on. Promoting Eubank Sr. at this point is a circus move. The man had his time, but this era belongs to Eubank Jr. Trying to step back in now, riding on your son's headlines? That's not legacy, that's ego. Let the spotlight shine where it belongs, on the fighter putting in the real work today, Chris Eubank Jr., and it doesn't end there.
Some border control, but a comeback in some form could happen.
I don't think anybody's going to be looking to promote Chris Eubank Sr. If they do, they should be ashamed of themselves.
This doesn't feel like support anymore. It feels like control. Chris Eubank Sr. is turning his son's career into an emotional chess match. And the worst part is, it's all playing out in public. What should be a moment of professional pride for Chris Eubank Jr. is being overshadowed by his father's ongoing theatrics and veiled threats. Eubank Jr. doesn't need ultimatums, he doesn't need emotional manipulation, and he certainly doesn't need his father dangling his own comeback over his head like some twisted motivational tactic. What Jr. needs is space. Space to build his own legacy on his own terms.
No, it's a statement that's posturing from the father, as if to say, look, I'm going to put my life at risk if you put your life at risk. So I understand where he's coming from. I don't think he really will fight, but who knows with Eubank Sr. It just creates more drama going into the second fight.
For years, critics said Jr. was living in his father's shadow. Not anymore. He's stepping out, carving his own path, silencing doubters, and proving that he's more than just a famous last name. And let's be brutally honest here. When a father uses his son's fight as leverage for his own exhibition comeback, that's not mentoring, that's pure ego and manipulation. This isn't about love or guidance anymore, it's about control. Emotional blackmail disguised as fatherly concern. And just when you think
you have to follow the weight classes, you have to follow directions and orders, and you know that's why we have weight classes. For 1 pound makes a huge difference. I mean, this guy was almost fainting trying to...
The family drama couldn't get any thicker, Peter Fury chimes in, and he doesn't mince words. According to Fury, the right man won. Chris Eubank Jr. didn't just box well, he boxed smart. He showed control, composure, and levels of ring IQ that Conor Benn simply couldn't match. Yes, Benn came out aggressive. Yes, he threw everything he had in the early rounds. But Jr. weathered the storm, adjusted, and then took over like a true professional. The scorecards might have looked wide, but let's not kid ourselves.
I was expecting a split. I thought it could be a draw. And when I heard unanimous, I thought, I thought, I bet we're not going to get it now. And when I heard 116, 112, I got to be honest with you, I was really disappointed because I don't believe it was an 8.
The result was never in doubt. This was pure, measured dominance from a fighter who's reached a new level. No gimmicks, no catchweight controversies, no excuses, just clean, technical boxing. And And the voices don't stop there. Frank Warren weighed in and said what many are thinking, but few are willing to say aloud. Trying to promote Chris Eubank Sr. at this point is turning the whole thing into a circus. Sr. had his era. He had his moments of glory. This isn't his...
Conor Benn can fight anybody from 147 to 154 to 160. Conor Benn can fight who he wants. Both of them can almost handpick who they want to fight next.
His time anymore. This era belongs to Chris Eubank Jr. Trying to claw your way back into the spotlight, riding your son's headlines, and making his fight week about you? That's not legacy building. That's attention-seeking at its worst. Let's be clear. The spotlight should be on the man putting in the work today. The man stepping into the ring. The man taking the punches and making the sacrifices. That man is Chris Eubank Jr. Full stop. And if you think this is just a family spat, think again. Gareth A. Davies sees through the whole charade too.
Really good fight. I think it was a lot closer than what it was. Commend Conor Benn immensely because he put on an amazing performance. Remember, he's a welterweight. Never really boxed at world-class level at 160 or around there. Chris has more experience on the world scene than Conor has, but Conor did himself proud.
Classic Eubank Sr. theatrics. All this talk about "if you fight, I'll fight" is pure drama, not genuine mentorship. Chris Jr. has earned his stripes the hard way, through grit, discipline, and actual fights, not emotional threats from a parent seeking relevance. Let's call it what it is. This isn't love. This is legacy control. It's emotional leverage masked as fatherly concern. And the biggest tragedy? It distracts from the real story. Junior's incredible evolution as a fighter and...
What he did was unforgivable. And if you were ever going to forgive him, he has to come clean about it first, which he hasn't. Until that day, me and him will always be, we will never be.
And as a man, this isn't the 1990s anymore. If Chris Eubank Sr. really cared about his son's growth and career, he'd step aside, cheer from the sidelines, and let Junior shine. The ring belongs to the fighter who's earning his place with every round, not the man chasing his lost spotlight. So, here's the question for fans. Whose side are you on? The Chris Eubank Jr. standing tall and fighting his own battles? Or the Chris Eubank Sr. keeping the drama alive, stealing air from his own son's moment? Let us know in the comments. Now let's pivot to Oscar De La Hoya.
Come back, he'll be a better fighter. You know, we've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take.
Who chimed in with a technical point about weight classes. Yes, weight matters. Nobody's denying that. But let's not rewrite history here. Chris Eubank Jr. didn't just cut weight for the first Benn fight. He sacrificed everything. Strength, sharpness, and stamina. And yet, when the bell rang, who looked like the bigger, stronger man? Chris Eubank Jr. Benn struggled to make the catch weight too. But when the two met in the ring, Junior looked composed, focused, and dangerous. If anything, it showed how much discipline Eubank Jr. has when it matters. While Oscar is
box anymore because his legs weren't working. He was throwing a lot of shots, but nothing had any real power or snap because he didn't have it in him, and so he couldn't force his size advantage.
Technically correct that weight is a factor. Context matters. Chris didn't whine about it. He adapted, fought, and won. That's what real fighters do. The whole weight narrative, it's tired. The performance spoke louder. But wait, it gets even crazier. Eddie Hearn, always with a spin, tried casting doubt on the win. Let's cut through the noise. Eubank Jr. boxed smart, adjusted mid-fight, and controlled the pace. The 116-112 scorecard wasn't a gift. It was a reflection of a fighter who knew how to close rounds and command the ring when it mattered most. Yes, Benn.
Eubank, because if I don't do Eubank next, that ship sailed. So it has to be Eubank next. If it's not Eubank, then then that.
Benn had moments, but Eubank Jr.'s timing, jab, control, and footwork were levels above. If it looked wide on the scorecards, it's because Junior made it look that way. He made Benn miss. He made Benn hesitate. He dictated the exchanges. What we witnessed wasn't a robbery. It was ring IQ in action. Eddie Hearn can spin the narrative however he wants, but the facts are simple. Chris Eubank Jr. won, clean and clever. Meanwhile, in another interview, there's talk of giving Ben the freedom to pick whoever he wants next. Let's not pretend that's a level playing field. Chris Eubank Jr. isn't out here ducking anyone. While Ben's chasing highlight clips and marketable knockouts, Jr. has been chasing real competition, bigger names, bigger bodies, and doing it without excuses. Yes, Ben can fight whoever he wants next. That's his right. But let's not kid ourselves. Jr. has fought the tougher men and done it consistently. That's a different level of ambition and hunger. So if Ben wants to cherry-pick his next opponent, fine. Let him. But let's see if he's brave enough to pick Jr. again. This time with no catchweights, no controversies, and no excuses. Just two men in the ring, one division and one clear outcome. Because we all know who wins that fight. Experience, gas tank, mindset, Jr. holds all three. But this story doesn't end there. Johnny Nelson nailed it. Conor Benn did himself proud, but Chris Jr. did himself better. That's the crucial difference. Jr. didn't just win. He outclassed a fighter who had nothing to lose. Ben came with fire. Eubank came with finesse, composure, world-level awareness. The gap in experience was undeniable. Jr. knew when to press, when to pivot, when to coast, and when to explode. Ben had bursts. Jr. had the blueprint. That's the difference between hype and heritage. Let's not sugarcoat it. Ben was never expected to outbox Jr. at 160 pounds. The reality? Even under pressure, Jr. looked like he had another gear left. He didn't just survive, he strategized. That's what world-class fighters do. Here's where it gets deeper. Chris Jr. spoke from the heart after the fight, and it hit hard. There's real pain behind his words. And pretending like everything's fine, like nothing happened behind closed doors, won't change that. Whatever went down between Jr. and Sr. clearly left scars. But Jr. isn't faking peace for the cameras. That honesty, that refusal to play along with the narrative, is strength. It takes guts to stand up to family when it counts, especially when your father is Chris Eubank Sr. But Jr.'s not doing this for show, he's drawing a line. And maybe that's what makes him so dangerous right now. He's fighting for something real, not for fame, not for headlines, but to reclaim his own name. That, more than anything, proves that the era of Chris Eubank Jr. has truly arrived. Now Nigel Benn, Conor's father, believes his son will bounce back. And sure, youth, hunger, and ambition are on Ben's side. But let's get real. Stepping up to 160 pounds against Chris Eubank Jr. is no joke. Conor entered deep waters, and the gap in experience, size, and composure showed. Nigel says Conor should take his time, and he's right, because this isn't about heart anymore. It's about levels. Eubank Jr. lives at 160. He's conditioned for it, tested, comfortable. Conor may become a better fighter one day, but Eubank's already a complete one. No rush back talk will change that. A rematch would only highlight the gaps even more, unless Ben reinvents himself entirely. You can't fast-track through weight classes without paying the price.
And here's a twist that might surprise you. Adam Booth painted a grim picture of Chris Jr., claiming he lacked legs and pop on fight night.
But here's the catch. Even that version of Eubank Jr. was good enough to beat Conor Benn. That should terrify Team Ben. If that was Jr. at 50%, what happens when he's at 100%? Fresh, focused, and firing on all cylinders? Everyone loves praising Ben's courage, but let's not forget. Courage doesn't win rounds, strategy does. Even on an off night, Eubank Jr. dictated the fight, controlled the pace. If Ben's only hope for the rematch is that Jr.'s gas tank runs empty again, then they're already planning for failure. Because when Jr. comes in fully fueled, legs sharp, hands fast, it won't just be close, it'll be clinical. The better man already won. Period. Now compare that to Conor Benn's post-fight interviews. One moment, he's saying, the ship has sailed. And the next, it has to be Eubank next. That's not confidence. That's confusion. Ben knows there's unfinished business. Dropping back to 147 pounds won't erase what happened at 160. If anything, it makes it look like he's ducking the rematch. Junior isn't hiding. He's waiting. Ben's the one walking away, talking about clearing out welterweight first. That's not ambition. That's retreat. Deep down, Ben felt the difference in there. It wasn't just size. It was composure, control, class. He can close the chapter all he wants, but the story isn't over. The only way to rewrite it? Face Eubank Jr. again. This time, with no excuses. And here's the kicker. Even without the full fight clip making its rounds, one thing's become crystal clear. Every voice in boxing is circling back to the same name, Chris Eubank Jr. Fans, fighters, promoters, analysts, they're all watching his next move. Why? Because Junior has reached that rare level. Respect earned, not inherited, not gifted, earned, through fights, failures, and comebacks. While others talk, Junior walks, straight through the fire, straight into legacy status. He doesn't need his father's voice anymore. He's grown into his own, both as a man and as a fighter. And that's why this rivalry with Conor Benn matters. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about redemption. Not redemption for a family name, but for a fighter determined to define himself on his own terms. And that's what makes Chris Eubank Jr. so dangerous right now. He's not done. He's just getting started. Everything is on the line now. Not just pride, not just revenge, but legacy. Chris Eubank Jr. stands on the brink of something bigger than titles. This is personal. This is about showing the world that he's not just the son of a legend. He's the man rewriting the family name in his own ink. He's faced the chaos, the mind games, even his own father's shadow, and still, he rises. So here's the final question. Are you backing Chris Eubank Jr. to seal his legacy and shut this chapter for good? Or do you believe Conor Benn has one last twist left in him to rewrite the ending? Let us know in the comments. Because if this rematch happens, it will shake boxing to its core.